Jagged, Giant Masters. There's words that float around nowadays. Witness consciousness, objective observation, mindfulness, all these things. People like using them, and they don't have to use the word God if they use those. It becomes a spiritual path. What does mindfulness? I always think that's funny because it means full of mind, mindfulness. But it's not supposed to mean that. It's supposed to be transcending the mind. But certainly witness consciousness is a beautiful depiction of what? Of what? One, what is it? Why are you not in it? And what's the path about if you're following the path of witness consciousness? Krishnamurti, years before, way back, called it objective observation. That's a really nice term. Objective observation. The essence of it is as follows. What are you observing and who's observing? Like we have in language. As subjects, objects, verbs, adjectives, right? We have these things. We should pay attention because our intuitive sense of using those words is most times quite accurate. Like, for example, you say this. Ready? My mind is driving me crazy. I can't do anything with it. Okay, my is a possessive pronoun. Whose mind? I want to know. You said my mind. Whose mind is it? How do you know it's driving you crazy? Has your mind ever driven you crazy? Has your heart, let's get more personal, has your heart ever hurt? How do you know? I don't know if your heart hurts, unless you tell me. How do you know your heart hurts? You have any trouble figuring out that your heart hurts? No, why? Because you are the witness and you're witnessing your heart hurting. There, go home. So that is witness consciousness. Are you not witnessing that your heart is hurting? If you had a wonderful experience with somebody and they said beautiful, nice words and it looked like a real positive relationship, did you notice that your heart opened? My heart opened? Oh, the same my. How do you know the heart opened? How do you know you feel love? Because you're in there and you notice. That's witness consciousness. You're witnessing what the heart is feeling, don't you? Is that hard? You wish you didn't have to sometimes. But you do. Now somebody says one word. I use the example. You're just in the embrace of such beautiful hugging. It's so sweet. And your eyes are closed. Why? Because you feel the love inside. Love's not outside. Don't you feel the love inside? In a flow of energy, of spirit inside. And you open your eyes because you just want to see the person's face. You just love him or her so much. We'll make it a him because this is what men do. All right? And you look and he's got his cell phone behind your head. And he's looking at the cell phone. All right? What happens to what you feel then? Instantaneously changes. And you say it. My God, my heart was open. I can't believe you did that. My heart closed completely. I don't feel. Right? I feel. It's a verb. Who doesn't feel it? Who knows it changed? Do you know it changed? How do you know it changed? It sounds like a stupid question. It is the most important question in all of the universe, and it is your entire spiritual path. Do you know that your heart was open, now it's closed? Do you know it felt beautiful, now it feels anger, hurt, and resentment? How do you know? How do you know? I'm going to tell you a secret. Resentment doesn't feel resentment. You feel resentment. Resentment is a thing, just like a rock or a tree or anything. Emotions are things. Thoughts are things. Clouds are things. Everything is a thing. Consciousness is what's aware of these things. If nobody was aware of it, who cares what the heart is doing? Who cares what the mind is doing? But the mind was saying all kinds of stuff, and it wasn't talking in a language you know anything about. They just started talking in God knows what. It probably wouldn't bother you that much. But you who's noticing it, I want you to understand, that is witness consciousness. You are always in a state of witness consciousness. Always. Have you ever been depressed? It's not true that you are depressed. That's a very sacred verb in our language, to be. Ser. It's funny, in Spanish they have two different uses, estar and ser. Ser means it's what I am. Estar means a temporary state of being I'm hanging out with. We don't have that difference. So we say, I am depressed. You just defined yourself as depression. No, you're not. I am consciousness, the witness, witnessing depression. That is so important. Why? It gives you a way out. That is this trap door. That is the most important aspect of all spirituality. Truth is, you're already out. You're out here noticing what's going on down there. All right, where do you experience your thoughts? In your foot? In your kneecap? In your heart? In your chin? No, up here, don't you? Your thoughts go on up here. How do you know? Because that's where you see them. They have position. You can see them. Where do you experience emotions? They do sometimes take over, but if you start feeling jealousy or anger, do you feel it in your nose? In your index finger? Your foot? No, you feel it here, your heart, below the heart, that whole area in there, because that's where it's coming from. They are things. So depression is a state of your psyche, not a state of your being. If you're depressed, I do this in the Unto the Soul. If you're depressed because your girlfriend left you, and you just don't even shower, you don't pick up the pizza crust all over the floor, you never go out, it's been like that for a week, you just, oh man, you can't get anything going. Ever been there? Okay. All of a sudden the phone rings. You don't generally answer it, but you see the caller ID, it's her number. So you don't want to answer it, but you do. You know what the other end of the line says? Oh my God, I am so sorry. The biggest mistake I ever made in my life was leaving you. I never realized how much I love you, how special you are, until I was without you. I can't live without you. You have to forgive me. Can I come over? You're out of bed in 10 seconds, taking a shower, cleaning up the apartment. Then she comes over. You go out, talk all night. You had no energy. You had nothing. Not true. The psyche was blocked, and it was in a state of depression, and you were staring at it. Now it's not blocked, and you get to have all this energy, this whole experience. Can it change that quickly? All right, pay attention. It's not true. You've never been depressed. You have experienced depression. Is there something inside you that can be sad? Is there something inside you that can feel no energy? Something inside you that can feel depressed? Down. You're not that. You're witnessing that. You're noticing that the mind and the heart are sad. That's witness consciousness. Don't try to make it some mystical, faraway thing. You are always aware of what your thoughts are doing and what your emotions are doing. The trouble is, we get so lost in it that we care more about what our thoughts and emotions are doing than we ever, most people never in their entire life care about who noticed. You do notice it's doing that, don't you? Wow. Do you understand how high that is? That part of you, the consciousness, the Atman, the soul, call it whatever you want, that part of you that notices what you're watching is the doorway. It's everything. When Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh to the Father but by me, what does that mean? He's all the way back there. He's God descended. So he's the being that knows who he is, which is what's watching the personal. It's not the personal talking. I am the way, the truth, and the life. That's consciousness talking. I am the doorway to God. What did he say? The kingdom is within you. The yogi understands that. Why? Because the kingdom is within you. You who's in there watching your mind, you who's in there experiencing your emotions, you who's in there receiving your senses, you get back there, that's where the great masters went. That is the doorway to merger. Why? Because that is consciousness. And the universe is made of consciousness. So that when you stop staring, we'll give the cat out of the bag right now, you are consciousness. You can be conscious of anything. You can be conscious of anything. But you are distracted and conscious of your thoughts. They're very strong. You're distracted and conscious of your emotions. You don't have to be. Don't you dare let them tell you have to be. You do not have to be. You're getting distracted by them, and no one has ever taught you how not to be distracted by your thoughts and your emotions. In fact, they might say you're supposed to pay attention to your thoughts and emotions. Yeah, when they have something worthwhile to say, okay, you should pay attention to. If they're bouncing your checkbook, it's very good to pay attention to your thoughts. If you're feeling love and you want to serve somebody, it's wonderful. They're nice, all right? If they are telling you, this is terrible, I can't trust him, I don't know what to do, I got hurt before last time, I don't want to get into a relationship, I'm not ready to do this right. The question is not, why is it doing that? We can talk about that, why it's doing that. We're talking about the strong pull it has to attract your consciousness to your thoughts and emotions. It's so strong that you identify yourself with what you're looking at instead of identifying yourself as the one who's looking. Now you understand witness consciousness. If I'm sitting in this chair and looking at that picture, and I stare at the picture, just totally, I'm fixated on the picture. I don't know I'm sitting in the chair. I'm the one who's in the picture. Did I leave anywhere? Can you do that? Can you focus so much? You just projected yourself. You're not feeling anything from the chair. You're not paying attention to you guys. I'm just focused there. You start identifying with the object of consciousness as opposed to identifying with the witness, with the source of consciousness, with the experiencer of consciousness. That's everything. What is meditation? Let's go to Patanjali. Those of you who understand the deep yogic teachings, there's this very great book, I think it was written 500 BC or something like that, by Patanjali, or Patanjali. It's pronounced different ways, right? So what did he say? What does he say meditation is? He says first, there's this word called pratyahara, which is a Sanskrit word, which means withdraw from the senses. Okay, that sounds very interesting. Who withdraws from the senses? Who isn't withdrawn from the senses? The consciousness. If you can't withdraw your consciousness from the senses, you ain't meditating. You're paying attention to what's going on out there. But he does not call pratyahara meditation. He does not call that meditation. That's first of 3 steps, what he calls meditation. Now, most of you would sit there and say, I don't know how to withdraw my consciousness from the senses. You do so. I guarantee you, every single one of you has practiced pratyahara. If you've never meditated a day in your life, every one of you regularly practices withdrawing your consciousness from the senses, from the distraction of the senses when you go to sleep. Do you ever fall asleep? I know it's difficult sometimes. Do you ever fall asleep? Does that mean that the world goes away? There's no input coming into your ears, your side, this and that? No, the wind is blowing, people are talking in another room. You don't hear anything. You have withdrawn your awareness from the senses. Isn't that neat? It's a state that you're capable of reaching. You just need things to be a certain way for your mind to shut up so that you can pull back. You don't pull back. If you try to pull back, you'll never fall asleep. You have to not be there. You, the ego, the self-concept. Okay? If he's lying there saying, how do I fall asleep? I don't know how to fall asleep. You will not fall asleep. But you do enter a state of pratyahara. You do enter a state every night where you have withdrawn your consciousness from the senses. That's not meditation. It's just your consciousness is no longer distracted by the senses. You didn't have to cut any nerves. You didn't have to get into an isolation tank, take drugs, or do anything. It just, you happen to be consciousness, and it has the ability to withdraw its awareness from the senses. Okay? But that's not meditation. Then he says dharana. What is dharana? One-pointed concentration. That's how he explains it. I'm not trying to say anything different than him. But you know what another word for one-pointed concentration is? Ceasing to be distracted by your mind or your emotions. Now you're not distracted by the senses. Now you're inside, and the mind and emotions don't distract your consciousness. That's why you stare at a candle. What's spiritual about staring at a candle? Nothing. Except that if you stare at a candle deep enough to have one point of concentration, you're not distracted by your thoughts or emotions. So this stuff's very common sense stuff. It's not weird. It's not weird about meditation. It's not weird about witness consciousness. It's not weird about anything. So if you can concentrate fully on one thing, a candle, a mantra, something, all right? The guru's feet, come on. Don't try to make things mystical and weird. It's about one point of concentration. If you love Christ so much that if you sit down and you can withdraw inside yourself, if you just focus on his image, and your thoughts can't bother you, and the world can't bother you, and your emotions don't bother you, and you're one-pointed, you just did dharana. And that's why devotion. It's taught that devotion, a lot of you guys are intellectual, not devotional, if you will, but they say devotion is the highest path. Why is devotion the highest path? If you have devotion for something other than yourself, not your thoughts, your emotions, but there's people like Rumi, people who are very deeply devoted beings, that their whole life was just one-pointed love for God, love for spirit, love for something other than themselves. That is a one-pointed concentration on something other than your thoughts and emotions. Therefore, the doorway's open to go to the next state. But he does not call pratyahara meditation. He does not call dharana meditation. He calls dhyan meditation. What's that? If you can have one-pointed concentration with your consciousness to where it's not distracted by the world or your senses, it's not distracted by your thoughts or your emotions, where is it? It's just conscious. Of what? It's just conscious. It doesn't be conscious of something. I can be here and not look at that picture or that picture or that picture or you. I can just be here, can't I? He calls that being aware of the self, of the consciousness. He literally says, when you can one point of concentration and not get distracted, now put that one point of concentration on consciousness itself. Be the one who's aware. It takes no object, because that's subject-object. You're just there. You have had states like that. Who has ever woke up in the morning and said to somebody, oh my God, I slept so deep I didn't have any dreams? How do you know? How do you know there were no dreams? You weren't even there. He says that the dreamless state is not a state of non-consciousness. It's a state of being conscious of nothing. There's nothing there. There's no thoughts, there's no emotions, there's no physical world or anything like that, but there's still consciousness. You know that because you know you were there. People get knocked, quote, unconscious. That's not unconscious. It means they're not conscious of the outside world. And they come back and tell you where they went and what they saw, whether it be mystical stuff or just crazy thoughts. Who is this I? Who is the indwelling being who is always there? It has never not been there. Are you in there? I start from the beginning. Are you in there? Are you in there? I don't want you to think about it. I just want to ask you, are you in there? Do you see your thoughts? Do you see your emotions? Do you ever look in the mirror and see what reflecting back? Were you in there last week? Were you in there last week? Oh, obviously. When you were 10 years old and you looked in a mirror, did it look like it looks now? No. Who was looking? They're telling you it's you. You have no age. These things are obvious. They're not beliefs. You have no age. You've been in there. There are people that know what happened when they were in the womb. There are people that can say what happened. They were aware in the womb. Doctors know that. Nobody's denying that. It is the exact same consciousness. The consciousness did not change. The mind did. The body did. The emotions did. They change all the time, don't they? But you who notices that they're in there changing. Was your body at 5 years old the same size as it is now? But wasn't it you? Haven't you been a contiguous awareness of being throughout your entire life? All right. That's witness consciousness. So why does the personal self, that's what it's called, the personal psyche, personal mind and personal emotions, have such a pull on your consciousness to where literally most people have never, ever broken that pull one iota? They just are born, they start getting upset when they're little. I want a toy, I want this, I want that, etc. Different things happen throughout their life, and they're on their deathbed, and they're afraid of dying. They never got out. They never realized it's just a movie. There's something I'm watching. It's situations unfolding in front of me, then they're gone. Anything you think is traumatic, I get in big trouble when I'm talking to this, that happened 20 years ago, it's over. Why in the world would it keep bothering you? It's not happening anymore. But it really hurt a lot. I know, but it's over. But it still hurts. It hurts because you kept it. Do you understand? I don't care what they tell you. I'm a yogi. There is nothing in there that's solid. There's no flypaper. There's no super glue. There's no concrete. There's not a single thing in there. It is more etheric than the air. Everything just passes right through it, period. It just comes in, you experience it, passes through your consciousness, and it's gone. None of it stays inside. Doesn't mean you don't have a memory. If you want to bring it back from memory, that's your business. But it doesn't come back by itself. When it comes back by itself, it's because you didn't let it pass through. You said, no, unacceptable, not on my watch. That cannot happen. Well, unfortunately, it did. Well, let's be logical. They say spirituality is about belief and trust. No, it's not. It's about reality. It's about truth. You're fine with truth. All right? It obviously happened or it wouldn't have bothered you. Okay? They asked Ramakrishna, great master, all right, great being. They asked him, does an enlightened being ever feel anger? He said, yes. He said, but it's like writing on water. Make a letter on water, see how long it stays. It's gone the minute it's written. That's what's supposed to be happening. The world comes in, you get to experience it. Obviously, that's why it's there. How do I know I'm supposed to experience it? Because you have sensors. You have sensors that pick it up, and they send it into you. That's because that's creation. That's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to be having these experiences. Well, how do you know I was supposed to have what happened 20 years ago? Because it happened. But why couldn't it have been a different one? Because it wasn't. The Gita says, Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, that which is meant to be is. That which is not meant to be isn't. What's so difficult about that? Nobody put you in charge. That's the talk I'd like to have with you guys. Do you really believe that you are in charge of what happens to you all the time? That every moment that has unfolded in front of you, your entire life, since childhood all the way up, that you are supposed to be in charge of that moment. And if something happened you didn't like, that's terrible. And if something happened that you like, that was great, you did something good, now you make it happen again. That's what they try to teach you. That's ridiculous. Why don't you be scientists? Let me ask you a question. Right now, there's a bunch of people in this room. If I asked every one of you how you got here at this moment, today, you'd give me a different story. And it could go back years. Somebody said something to you, you went to church and it turned you off, so you started doing yoga, somebody gave you a book, right or wrong. Those are the reasons things happen to you. Because they happen to you. Because of cause and effect, because of the reality of what's going on outside. You're not supposed to be in charge. You're not in charge. So, how do I decide what I want? Okay? Well, I want you to ask me that. You don't have to do it. I'll do it for you. Do you or do you not decide what you want and what you don't want? Do you have preferences? Do you have desires, hopes, dreams, concepts, views, opinions? Okay, where'd you get those? Shh, don't be so quick. Psychology says man is the sum of his learned experiences. I am telling you, every single thing in there, your hopes, your dreams, your concepts, your views, your preferences, your beliefs, are the sum of your learned experiences. If you tell me you like redheads or you hate redheads, something happened. You know what I mean? Right or wrong, something happened. If you sit there and tell me I don't have children, something happened. I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. Have children, don't have children, like redheads, don't like redheads. Nobody's judging. But I'm asking, daring you to realize you did not make that decision. Something happened. Your parents got divorced. It was really hard for you. You were hurt all the time. You didn't like your stepfather, whatever it is. So now I ain't having kids. Why? I'm not putting them through what I went through. It sounds so logical to you. You'll go up and give a debate about why it's stupid to have children because they could get hurt. That's selfish that you would bring children in this world. It sounds logical, doesn't it? If you had a different experience and your stepfather was the most wonderful person that ever was and took care of you and was beautiful and taught you and was everything like that, then you absolutely want to get married and have children so they could have the experience that you had, right or wrong. There's not a single thing that goes on inside of you that's not the sum of your learned experiences. I know you don't want to believe that. You want to think you're unique and you've decided. You haven't decided anything. How can we prove this? Ready? Because now it's right down with your face in it. You meet somebody. They're attractive. You feel attracted to them. You start dating a little bit. It feels really good. It's going on for weeks. All of a sudden, somebody runs up to you and says, I heard you're dating Dan. Yeah. I don't feel right if I don't tell you I dated him before you did. But down in Miami, right? He's a serial killer. Seriously. He's so good at it, he hasn't got caught. He's killed people. All right? He tried to kill me. All right? Now, just a minute. Do you feel different next time you see Dan? The sum of your learned experiences. Do you see it? That is the sum of your learned experience. Don't tell me it's logical. If that person did not say that to you, or if they came up an hour later and said, do you know what day it is? April 1st. It's like, that's how quick it changes. You're not doing that. Your psyche, your mind, your heart are the sum of your learned experiences. As simple as that. Okay? Let's say, I have many examples of this. Let's say you were brought up in a Christian household, and your family made you go to church and did all those things. One or two things that happen. You're going to be a churchgoer or you ain't never going to that church. Both are the sum of your learned experiences. No, I rebelled, the sum of your learned experiences. How'd you know which one to rebel? Did you rebel Hinduism? No, I had no experience with Hinduism. Jainism? No, you hear what I'm saying? Your thoughts are the sum of your learned experiences. Your preferences are the sum of your learned experiences. You've been programmed. Haven't you? You've been programmed by life. You've been programmed by life. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. Don't think I'm telling you not to. I'm not telling you. I don't teach what you're supposed to do. I more teach what you're not supposed to do. You can't get free if you're married to your preferences and your hopes and your dreams and your concepts and your views. Now, you have those. I always teach you this. I know who gets it. Do you agree you have those? Do you agree that when you walk into this moment, you have the sum of your learning experiences coming with you? That's what's going on in your mind. That's what's going on in your heart. Everything I say, it either hits you right or wrong based on what the sum of your learning experiences. Do you think you're right? Do you think your opinions are right? Do you think your views are right? Your concepts, your hopes, your dreams, your preferences? Of course you think you're right. Of course you think you're right. You have evidence. So you don't understand. I went through that. Well, I know what it's like. Well, somebody else knows something else. You only know what little tiny thing you experienced, which is meaningless. Whoa. It is meaningless. Why is it meaningless? At the moment you're having that experience, how many other experiences are happening on the planet Earth? 700 billion zillion. And you're having one. And you've completely formulated your entire thought system and self-concept on that one experience. Didn't you? I'm not going to fly in a plane. Planes are dangerous. Well, do you know anybody who died? No. Did you ever crash in a plane? No. Well, but I watched a movie once. The sum of your learning, are you getting it? Is it true if I tell it that way, that your experiences are just another flip of, you're not even point, what is going on? Here, which one do you want to know who's going to win the election in November? Ask her. I'm going to vote for so-and-so. There, see, I know. She told me. That's statistically insignificant. So is your experience. And I only asked you on the planet Earth. Is the planet Earth the only place there is? No, there's Mars and Jupiter and galaxies far, far away. What percent of what went on at that moment in time and space, Einstein's space-time continuum, was your experience sitting on this stupid little place? Nothing. And that's how you should look at it. So what happens is, if you don't understand, you don't get the teachings. These are deep teachings, right? You say, I'm not okay. Of course you're not okay. I forgot to add, I'm going too fast, I know I am. Have any of you had experiences that weren't pleasant? How do you know? Because I'm in here. I saw what the heart did and what the mind did. Do you want to have them again? Which one do you want to have the unpleasant experiences again? Have any of you had experiences that were pleasant? Do you hope they never happen again? They programmed you. You're programmed with your past experiences, which are meaningless. There's a word, statistically insignificant. That's a nice word, isn't it? Is it not true that your one experience in that one moment in time space is statistically insignificant? Every other moment that's going on is equally as important as any other moment. Why would your moment be more important than anything else going on in the universe? But you have this preference system that you built based on collecting those moments. And because those are the moments you collected, and you have data on what? On that moment. You don't have any other data. You have no other data. You just collected one piece of data per moment, which was nothing. No significance at all. But to you, it's everything. Because it's the one you experienced. That's a problem. So now what happens? Now what happens, because some of those experiences were pleasant, and some were not pleasant. Most were not pleasant. Your ratio of pleasant experiences to unpleasant, don't even think about it. Just pay attention during the day. How many things blow you away versus scare you or hurt you or sensitive? It's not even close. Not that the world is that way. It does seem like that, doesn't it? I once had a person, he read The Surrender Experiment because his wife was into it. She had him read it. He said, I was very open, tried to be completely open, and when I finished, I put it down, and I went right back to where I was to start with. What was that? Ready? Nothing good happens in this world except you make it happen. Nothing good happens in this world except that you make it happen. Well, what about the rain? What about the 25 trillion cells that make up your body? What about everything? What about your liver, your kidney, are you kidding me? Everything happens that's unbelievable without you doing it. Let's get serious. Have any of you ever had a baby? Some of you have babies. If you tell me you made that baby, and I respect that, it's really great, I will walk up to you with $7 trillion. I will hand it to you and say, make me an eyeball. I'm waiting. And a liver and a pancreas and a pineal gland. And you didn't make the thing, did you? So something pretty amazing happened by itself without you doing it. You just basically, a little cell sitting down in there, and it starts breaking down carrots and peas, and I like to say Twinkies and Coke. It makes a baby out of the molecules that, believe me, it probably could. You understand that? It's phenomenal what it can do. So a chemist is in there breaking down the DNA, pulling it together, and making every part of a baby. You're not doing anything. The biggest thing you can do is smoke or drink and mess stuff up, right? Otherwise, now I'm going to make that statement. Nothing good happens in this world unless you make it. Is that true or not? It's not even close. All right? Now, I'll make that statement true. What you want will not generally happen unless you make it happen. Why would your preference, why would what you made up based on some of your own experiences be what's happening in front of you all the time? There's not a chance, is it? Psychology says your preferences, that which you want to happen and don't want to happen, are the sum of your learned experiences. Nobody, do you know that? God, I can't help myself. Do you know that no one alive today has had the experience you've had? But there are other people in the room, they ain't looking like you are. They're not the same angle, all that, right? And their thoughts are not the same because they have past experiences. And when they walk out, they'll put different shoes on, they'll go to a different car. Every single person walks a path through life that no one has ever walked before, and no one ever will, and no one that's here will, in alive today. You're getting a private showing. Do you understand that? You like to say, I like to be special. You're pretty special. Now you think, well, God, that's pretty amazing. There's, 8.2 billion people on the planet Earth. Every single one is getting a private showing every single minute. And because it's private, it's unique, and you're picking this up, and then you think it's right. But now what do you do with it? If there were bad experiences, you don't process them. You say, no, this shouldn't happen. My parents shouldn't have got divorced. I shouldn't have got a stepfather. And my boyfriend shouldn't have left me. And my girlfriend, I said hello. She didn't even say hello. Why did she say hello? Oh, my God, she just kept walking by. Is she mad at me? What's that? Did she have earbuds on? Where is he? He told me he was going to call me. Has he got somebody else? I don't know. How will I find out? I can hire a detective. No, that wouldn't look good, right? I don't want to do that. Do I even want to find out? Yeah, I want to find out. Yes or no? You have this whole self-concept of the thing. Then you come into the moment, and what do? You think your job in life is to make the moment in front of you match what you want, don't you? When was the last time you weren't trying to get things the way you want? When was the last time you weren't trying to avoid what you don't want? That's it. You've got these sore spots and happy spots inside based on your past experiences. And you think your job is, you don't have to think it, it tells you, is to make sure the bad ones don't happen again. Put bars on the windows, avoid people who you don't like. Do you hear me? Ever walk around a corner and make sure you don't see somebody or whatever? Of course you have. All right? That's your job, to try and make it be okay inside. And try to have things happen that you do like, and try to avoid what you don't want. That's what everyone's doing with their whole life. You're going to teach that. The deep spiritual teachers say, why are you not okay in there? This is a pretty amazing planet. Right? Go to Mars. Let's see how long you last. It's boring. There's nothing happening. What does that say? Nothing was happening. No colors, no shapes, no people, no talk, no intellect, no computers. When was the last time it happened to you? Never. So you've got this amazing life on this amazing planet, and you can't appreciate it because you're busy saying it's supposed to be what I want. Why? Because if it's not what I want, I get hurt. I don't like it. And if it's what I don't like, I sure as heck get hurt. So you're out there struggling. That's what Buddha taught you. All life is suffering. Cause of suffering. Preference. Desire. Now you understand Buddhist teachings. They're deep. That was very, very deep. The cause of all suffering. All. Like when he came back from his deep meditation, he said, I found the cause of suffering. The teaching Buddha's noble truth. First, all life is suffering. Doesn't mean you broke your arm all the time. It means all day you're worried about getting what you want and then avoiding what you don't want and thinking about what happened wrong before. You suffer. You're trying not to suffer. And then he said, I have the cause of suffering. And they said, well, you know the cause of suffering. Old age, sickness, greed, and lust. And I started listening to all these things. No. One cause. Shh. If you never got it before in your life, you don't have to believe it. You have to hang out with it. But I want you to understand how deep he was. There is one cause of all suffering. Preference. What do you mean? If you don't mind dying, you don't suffer about death. And you don't suffer about getting old. If you don't mind getting gray hairs and varicose veins, then you don't suffer when they happen. If you don't care that you're rich and you have a palace, then you don't suffer if your business crashes. There is only one cause of suffering. You have preferences that you think will make you be okay. That's what your preferences are. And the world doesn't unfold like that. So the question is, can I make the world unfold like that? That's what you're taught. How to make the world be what you want. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. As opposed to, why am I not okay with things? Why don't I appreciate everything that's given to me? Why don't I say thank you to the 25 trillion cells inside my body that I'm not doing anything, probably but screwing them up, okay? And they're just doing their thing all by themselves. They're living. These are living entities. You're not made like a robot out of wires. Your wires are the nerve system, which are made out of cells that talk to each other. When was the last time you said thank you? No, you're so fixated on the fact that you're not okay psychologically that you try to make the world match what you want. And I told you how you get what you want. You suppress things from before. You held them inside. A great being does not hold things inside. They're just present. Doesn't mean they can't bring it back if they want to think. They were great yogis. They were brilliant. But they're using the intellectual mind, not using what we call the personal mind, that you collected all these things in the past, and now the moment in front of you has to unfold the way you want. I'm going to cut it very short when I get into it, but I just like you understand so far. That's where your stuff came from. And you expect the world in front of you, the moment in front of you, to be what you want. All right, if your psyche is the sum of your learned experiences, is the moment in front of you the sum of your learned experiences? It's the sum of its learned experiences. That's what science is. Why is it raining on my birthday? Because there's forces that cause it to happen that have nothing to do with you. There's El Nino and La Nina, the stuff, wind, the mountains in Spain, and different things going on that make the weather be what it is, right? But you said, why does it have to rain on my birthday? That's what happens. You're not okay. You create preferences, and you expect the moment in front of you to match your preferences. It's not going to. Not by itself, it's not going to. There's no way. Why would it? That moment is the result of all the force that made it be the way it is. Your preferences are the result of everything you stored. They're not related. That's how a great being sees things. And then you sit there and decide, do I really want to go out there and manipulate and fight and struggle and feel anxious and scared because I'm afraid the moment won't be what I want? Or do I want to let go of this garbage that I stored inside myself? The things that happened in the past did not have to stay inside of me. I'm capable of being open. I'm capable of loving even though I got hurt once before. I'm not afraid of getting hurt. I'm afraid of storing the pain so that my whole life is centered around avoiding the pain, as opposed to it was a pain that happened 20 years ago and it's over. I get to be whole. I get to be open. I know it's tough. You heard me, because we live so different. And then they teach you, no, I'll tell you how to make the moment in front of you be the way you want. Do a mantra, attract it to yourself. That is not spirituality. Try to make everybody and everything be the way you want. Get powerful. And so no one will ever stand up against you. See how many ulcers you get. We have very good examples of very rich and powerful people in our world. They don't look like they're having so much fun. They're scared of every single thing they can have. I told you, if you're number one on Forbes, most richest person in the world last year, and you're number two this year, it bothers you. Okay? So wake up. The problem is not that the world is science. The world unfolds the way it is. It's the result of the sum of its learned experiences. And yes, it's true, what you're watching in there is the sum of your learned experiences. But you're not the sum of your learned experiences. You're the consciousness that's watching that. If you practice witness consciousness, now you don't buy into what it's saying. You don't sit there and say, okay, let's go eat at this restaurant. No, I ate there once 5 years ago. I used to love it. But they had this chef, and one time I was there, and it wasn't good. I don't want to eat there ever again. Give me a break. No, I had a bad experience. Fine. You can't handle a bad experience? No, I can't. I don't fly anywhere. I don't do anything. I don't go outside because there's mosquitoes, and I put bars on my windows. Do you understand that? Because you're afraid that something will happen that hits your stuff. Spirituality is about working on yourself, not working on everybody else to make it be what you want it to be. If you got every single thing the way you wanted, you will never grow. You will never change. You'll just try to keep it the way you want it. Earth is a place that souls are sent to evolve. You're here to grow. You're here to let go. But you do that by going through everyday life and saying to the moment that's in front of you,
you have a right to be the way you are. Is it not true that the moment in front of you has the right to be the way it is? It's the result of all its experiences. Somebody's there yelling at you. Why? Their mother yelled at them. There's reasons they're yelling. It has the right to be like that. What am I saying to you? Reality wins. How's that for a statement? That is what spirituality says. Reality is what's unfolding in front of you. You start by accepting and honoring that I'm now facing the result of the moment that has all its experiences. It's the sum of its learned experiences. I'm the sum of my learned experiences, and they don't get along very well, all right? But that's my fault. They're based on science. They're based on cause and effect. I made this stuff up inside my head. So acceptance starts with saying, this is what's in front of me. I have to be able to handle it. Otherwise I'm going to say, I can't handle this. If you can't handle something, you're the worst person to deal with it. If you can't handle the sight of blood, please don't show up in my car accident. You have to be able to handle reality. Why? Because it's real. It's what's actually happening. And if you can't handle reality, it's going to mess you up, and you're going to mess the next moment up. You understand that? You'll react and yell and scream and run away and do whatever. That's not healthy. So what does it mean? Can I handle what's going on in front of me? Yes. Does it feel good? No, it doesn't feel good. Because it doesn't match my preferences. It doesn't match the garbage I stored inside. Well, that's your first start. But I can handle it. I can take a breath. Now we're getting there. I can handle the moments unfolding in front of me. All right? And then you sit there and say, what about all the moments that aren't unfolding in front of me? The ones that all unfolded before. Can I handle them? You better say yes. You better say yes. I can handle every moment that ever happened, because that happened. You will never, ever change what already happened. So the only logical, insane thing to do is to say, there's something wrong with me if I can't handle what already happened. It's not even happening anymore. I know you don't like this, but you will never, ever be okay until you can do that. Because you've got this garbage inside. You spend your life avoiding it or trying to make it happen again. That's not your life. That's its life. That's your past impressions running your life. You don't have a life. So can I let go of all this stuff? Yes, of course you can. Of course you can. There's a single thing in there you can't let go of. But you have to want to. You can't do it to start with. You can't just all of a sudden go in there and let go of all those things that happened to you. But you can sit there and say, I want to. Can you imagine what it would be like to have that stuff inside? Not that it didn't ever happen, but you handled it. And it's not in there bothering you. And it's not running your life. You dated a redhead, she dumped you, and it hurt you at the time, you were young, but now you look at it and say, this is the redhead, not all redheads dump me. This is crazy. And you let it go. You learn to let it go. How do you do that? I always teach this to you at the end. You don't start by doing the big stuff. Just leave it alone. It's in there. You'll deal with it later. You start by not putting more in there. That's what I'm asking you. So don't worry. I have not asked you to touch all this garbage you got inside that you don't ever want to talk about or touch or live. And what happens when it comes back up? You push it back down. Then you know you're in trouble. Because what you basically said is, I have pain inside of me, I'm going to keep it. Instead, you sit there and say, all right, eventually I will learn how to not hold this in here, but I'm not ready yet. Okay? So all I ask from you, very little, I'm very gentle, is can you go through today without putting more in there? You don't have traumatic experiences every moment of your life. But if the driver in front of you is not driving the way you like, you have a little bit of trouble. If it's rainy and you have to get out of the car, you don't want to get wet, you have a little bit of trouble, don't you? How about we work with those? How about we work sitting there saying, I'm going to practice handling reality. Somebody walks up to you and says, I can't believe what you did. That's ridiculous. Sally told me that you said this, right? And that doesn't feel good. That's a little bit higher grade, all right? But you say, how many other things were being said at that moment on the planet Earth? It's 1 over 700 billion trillion. And so you say, my first act is to honor its right to have been said. My first act is to honor that someone's driving the way they're driving in front of me, that the weather is what it is, etc., etc. That's acceptance, okay? Does that mean if it's really hot out, find a way to enjoy it, but then go inside. Nobody's saying you're an ascetic, that you're renouncing everything. No, but don't fight it. Don't fight reality. Don't ever fight reality, because you lose. The new book, Living Untethered, it asks the question, what is reality? Ready? I'm not going to write a book about it. It took one sentence. That which already happened. How's that for a definition of reality? That will never, ever not have happened. It is reality. Can you handle it? And if you can't, how about practicing how to handle these little things. And next thing you know, you'll be able to handle bigger things, then bigger things. And all of a sudden, instead of you're not okay inside, what do I need to do to make the outside help me compensate for the fact that I'm not okay? Instead, you are okay inside. And you will reach a point where you realize, that's why I wasn't okay. Why? Because I stored every single thing that ever bothered me inside of me. Therefore, I'm bothered, aren't you? What if I didn't store everything that ever bothered me inside of me? Whew, you get your picture on the wall. You think I'm kidding? If you let go of that garbage and let life hit it when it needs to, just you don't do it all at once, just little by little, like learning the piano. You don't do it all at once. Learning tennis, you don't do it all at once, right? You practice. Practice letting go. So you surrender to the reality, but doesn't mean you don't deal with it. But you don't deal with it as a way of resisting it, fighting it, denying it. You accept it, and then you see what you can do to help. That is the spiritual path. In anything you do to help yourself, I respect deeply. But I'm telling you, if you don't understand, you got to get that garbage out of there. That's making you have these preferences and so on, until eventually you stand there and say, it's hot. I taught Mickey to do this. It's hot out. It's hot. I'm the witness. I watch him complaining. And I just ask, excuse me, why is it hot? He says, the sun. The sun is hot. Okay, how far away is the sun? 93 million miles. How far away is Miami? 360? 360 versus 93 million? If all of Miami caught fire, you would not feel a single thing up here. That thing's 93 million miles away, and it is so hot that you feel it here. Wow. That's serious, isn't it? That's using your intellectual mind, your abstract mind, your greater mind, instead of your little mind of your preferences, right? And you sit there and say, by the way, Mick, is it the sun? I said, no, it's a star. Who doesn't like stars? Everybody likes stars. They twinkle in the sky. That's one of those. You're so close to one of those that you can feel its heat. You can change your life by changing the way you look at stuff. You do not get sunburned. You get starburned. And that's much more fun. And then you'll close off with, how many of those are there out there? Well, I don't know. There's 300 billion in your galaxy. Holy mackerel. Why don't you expand your frame of reference? And all of a sudden everything fits. You can make your life beautiful by ceasing to make it terrible. By storing all this garbage inside. All right, that's witness consciousness. You're aware that what's going on down there is holding you down. And it is. And you think that the answer is to manipulate and control everything so it be the way you want. If you get what you want, you feel good. And not be the way you don't want, right? But that's a struggle, isn't it? All kinds of anxiety, all kinds of problems, and it never will be. It never will be the way you want. Never. I'm sorry, I told you that. Okay? It can't. This is some of its learned experiences. The other some of your learned experiences. They have nothing to do with each other. And when you understand that, and you're willing to work with what's happening, raise it, work with it, serve it, appreciate it, no matter what it is, the life changes completely. And that's a spiritual life. Very good. You have a whole life to live. It can be beautiful, filled with love. But not because you got something to compensate for your garbage. It's just you're filled with love because you're open. That Shakti pours through your whole being. Jagrative.